Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our 2026 curriculum night. We are joined today by Bill Myers and Matt Grigas. I'm Kelsey Pasiniak. Gentlemen, say hello.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. We hope that this virtual curriculum night is informative and answers all of your frequently asked questions. We're going to be providing links to all of the important and key information. Everything will be found in your digital admissions packet that we emailed you earlier.
So thank you, Matt. I will take over now, if I may, and just give kind of a high-level view of what a freshman curriculum is like. And then I believe at the end of the meeting, we have some frequently asked questions that we'll try to address. Is that true, Kelsey?
That is correct. Go for it, Bill.
Great. So again, welcome to Incoming Freshman Curriculum Night. Just as a little bit of an agenda, we first want to talk about the different levels of honors in our English, science, and social studies curriculum. We do then also talk a little bit about our classical world languages, math, and at the very end, Matt Grigas will talk a lot about our college prep tech summer program. So one of the things that I always like to begin with when I talk about our honors versus non-honors curriculum at Bennett is that we expect most of our students to be successful in the honors curriculum. So students should not be intimidated by being assigned 3 or 4 different honors courses. That is actually typical. It is, of course, good for the parent to think about, obligations the student has other than school, sports, activities, things like that. But at the same time, most of our students are successful in the honors classroom. So don't be dissuaded or don't be too intimidated by that. When I asked the department chairs what they would like me to share about how students should think about honors or non-honors courses, they gave me kind of a list of things that would be helpful for children and parents to reflect on about, whether the honors placement is the correct placement. And the first thing all the department chairs said is the student passionate or interested in the topic? So even if they don't have much experience with biology, or if they, haven't had a lot of work with grammar, but they have great passion in English or in biology, that is probably the #1 indicator if a student will be successful. A second thing that parents and students should consider whether an honors placement is correct or not is, what is the middle school like that they come from? Is it known to have a very strong science department or a very strong history department, and therefore they have a solid foundation in that subject? Philosophically at Bennett, we believe that all students should be challenged, appropriately. That we really believe that it's when students face a little bit of a struggle that they can achieve their full potential. So we do want to always kind of place our students in the most challenging environment that they can succeed in. And that is a longstanding tradition of the school. The last thing that parents often wonder about is, is there any advantage to taking honors classes? And one of the tangible benefits are we do offer weighted grades in honors level courses. So at the freshman level, there's only an honors option. And if you take an honors class, you have 3 points added to your 100-point grade. So if you earn a 90 in a, let's say, honors world history, it would actually show up on the report card as a 93 at the semester. As you advance through Bennett, we also offer an AP curriculum. AP courses get a 5% adjustment. So again, if you earned a 90 in an AP, let's say econ class as a senior, it would actually show up as a 95 on your transcript. So again, that probably, honestly, for an educator, should be the last reason you choose to do an honors or AP course. Hopefully it's more passion. Hopefully it's wanting to challenge oneself, but it is true that we do offer honors and AP weighting. Placements and changes to placements. So we take a look at the HSPT and make initial placements of freshmen. Okay, it's our one kind of standard measure that we have for all students, and so we use it to place. But we do want to acknowledge that we don't always make the perfect placements, so there are ways to change those placements once they've been assigned. So the first schedule that we'll send out, we're going to send out a schedule on March 4th. It is the preliminary schedule. It is placements of students based on that HSPT, and it is sent to students who have fully registered for the school. So that fully registration means you have to sign up, or you have to fill out that verification of attendance form, and also provide the $300 tuition deposit for the school. So once those 2 things are done, on March 4th, we will send out a preliminary schedule to our families. On that preliminary schedule, there will be a link to request to change a class. And that link to request to change a class is an acknowledgement that you, the parent, probably know your son or daughter better than we do, that the HSPT, while a valid measure of their abilities and achievement, isn't a perfect measure. So parents actually, for many classes, are actually given the right to request an alternative placement. If they're placed in an honors, but they know that maybe it's not their child's passion, they can be asked to place into the regular level. If they're placed in the regular level, but it's something that they're really interested in, or they have a great foundation in it, they, let's say biology, they can then ask to be moved into honors biology. The other way that we can change a placement, and this is for math and or classical world languages, is we have a proficiency testing system. So on June 1st and June 4th, the school opens itself up to incoming incoming freshmen, the current eighth graders, to take math proficiency tests. On June 2nd and June 4th, there's classical world language proficiency testing. If those 2 dates or 3 dates don't work for your family, maybe your sons or daughters are still in school or you're out of town that weekend, there is makeup dates later in the summer, but we do actually ask as many families to take the test in June as possible, just so that we can get our scheduling underway. What I wanted to do real quick was talk about the 3 classes or the 3 departments that we make placements for, but then parents are given the right to kind of opt in or out based on a recommendation. So the first class that we make a placement using HSPT is English. And there is a English 1 honors and a English 1 college proper regular level. All English 1 honors and non-honors still cover the foundation of English curriculum. They cover grammar, vocabulary, literature, and writing. So all students are getting all 4 of those experiences, so they're well prepared for their sophomore year English class. All classes, regular and honors, will read 2 novels. They will read a Shakespeare play, and they will also read a graphic novel of Homer's Odyssey. Okay. And then when I asked Mrs. Rogalski, who's the department chair, to talk about, well, what is the difference then between the honors and non-honors, then she talked about the honor students having to read 1 more novel. So there's an additional novel study. And also they get more in depth into the Shakespeare play that is read. So, maybe instead of just reading portions of the play with kind of parts filled in by the teacher, they would read the entire play. The other thing that she pointed out is that there's an assumption for the honors level that the student either has a high interest in grammar or maybe has some grammar experience, because the way that grammar is taught is accelerated compared to the non-honors section. Same thing with vocabulary, that the students can just learn kind of vocabulary on their own, as opposed to actually having instruction in vocabulary. Again, this is one of those options where we will send a English 1 honors or English 1 placement on that preliminary schedule, but there will be that link to request the change. So that a parent disagrees with it, they can ask the school to reconsider. If you have any follow-up questions that are specifically about English 1 or English 1 honors or courses after English 1, you can always email Mrs. Rogalski. Her email is included down there below. So when we talk a little bit about sciences, we have the freshman level course is biology. And when we talk about how are they the same, they use the exact same textbook and they cover the exact same units. So again, there's no deficiency that if the student later on wants to do an AP biology class or anything like that, they'll have that same experience. The differences between the honors and non-honors level is the honors level will have more laboratory experiences, and you begin to see an integration with other sciences. So they try to bring in chemistry into it. So there's a more discussion of the biochemistry elements, for, let's say for example, like photosynthesis. You also get into topics of ecology, the connection of kind of all living things together. Also, the reading pace tends to be more accelerated. There's some more outside reading that is done in the honors level that's not done in the non-honors level. The non-honors level also has a teaching style that's referred to as project-based learning. So project-based learning is when you take a topic and you create, in a sense, a central question, and then the students kind of investigate around that central question. Again, this is another example of where the school will make a preliminary placement, send out that preliminary placement in the schedule, but there is that link to request the change. Again, if you have any questions about biology or any other science courses beyond biology, feel free to contact Dr. Elaine Blaney, who's the department chair. The final option where parents are given kind of the ability to change just by making a request is in the social studies option. So social studies has a world history, which is an honors class, and a global studies, which is a non-honors or college prep level. The world history honors class is a traditional history course where it's a chronological approach. They begin with Mesopotamia about 5,000 years ago, and then move throughout different regions in the world, but they move through it chronologically until about 1815. There are more primary sources used in the World History Honors curriculum, and also a research paper is required. The global studies curriculum is more of a thematic approach to history. In case you're not familiar with that, a thematic approach would be they take large topics. They might take topics such as migration or government structures or religion, and then they visit different societies in the world at different times to see how each society kind of approached these important topics or important ways to organize human behavior. There are then fewer primary sources. The other thing is that the Global Studies program is really designed to enforce executive functioning skills. Executive function is kind of a buzzword right now in education, but it is an important thing that we've noticed our students might have not had as much time to develop in the pandemic world. So we're kind of doubling down and actually building it into our curriculum. Executive functioning skills, in case you're not familiar, we'd talk about like planning and organization, the ability to reflect on success or failure in assignments and like what to do differently, advocating yourself and making appointments with teachers or other adults that can help, note-taking skills. A lot of these skills that surround successful students that can be taught, that can be learned. And so we've actually tried to incorporate them in all of freshman year, but specifically in the Global Studies program. They've done a great job. Just as a quick aside, all of our freshman teachers have been certified in executive functioning. Over the last 2 years, we've partnered with a private firm that specializes in teaching of executive functioning for students. And we had 10 hours of training, and then we actually went through an assessment to get our certification. So I'm very proud of the fact that I can confidently say that all freshman teachers are able to support your students in learning executive functioning. The department chair for social studies is Mr. Ed Knoll. His email is there. Again, you'll get a preliminary placement on March 4th, either World History Honors or Global Studies. And then, if you're satisfied with the placement, you don't have to do anything. But if you feel like we misplaced your student, you can then go ahead and click on a link to request the change of class. So the next two departments, Classical World Language and Math, is slightly different. You can test into a more advanced level if you think the placement is not correct for your son or daughter. But in these, we actually have a proficiency testing process to earn credit and therefore test into a new level. So at Bennett Academy Classical World Languages, we offer 4 languages. We offer Latin, German, Spanish, and French. Okay. Initially, all students, regardless of their previous experiences, are placed in level 1. Okay. If your son or daughter wants to change the language that they originally signed up for on that preliminary schedule, there will be a link to request the change of class. You'd use it the same way. You'd say, we signed up for Spanish, we want to do German, or we signed up for German, we want to do French. Those would be, you can just change the class. That would still put them in the level 1 of that language, but you can always change language using that preliminary schedule link. If you're a heritage speaker, or if you've had a lot of experience in a language, or you've had a couple of years in middle school and you want to try to get proficiency credit to test into a new language or into another advanced level of that language, we also will have on that preliminary schedule a link to RSVP for proficiency testing. And so you click on that link, and then you basically sign up for a test. We do have students who will test through level 1 of Spanish or French. We do have tests for all of them. Those tend to be the 2 most typical proficiency tests taken, but we do offer one in German and Latin if your student has experience in that language. We have some speakers who have heritage speaking in their family, and therefore they might test out of even level 2 so that they can go into and start their freshman year level 3 or maybe even level 4. Levels 1 and 2 are considered non-honors classes. Levels 3 through 5 are considered honors classes. So in a way, you can actually begin your freshman year in an honors course if you pass out of levels 1 and 2 of the language. Mr. Ray Butler is the department chair, and you can follow up any questions with him at rbutler@bennett.org.